All right, you know I had to make some Raiders content here, right? I mean, the Raiders could have had 0 picks, and I would have still made a video about some undrafted free agent they had. Gotta make some Raiders content. But I actually would have probably made a video about Farrell. I'm assuming his name is Farrell. It could be Farrell. I don't know. I already had hard enough time with Cleveland Farrell. Now Farrell here. But I would have made a video about him regardless because, like, I really like him. I had him as my 51st rated prospect on my big board. So getting him when the Raiders got him is a massive steal. And he is someone who I think can be very similar of a player to what Jordan Davis got drafted to do, and you're getting him a hell of a lot later. So let's get into the film, talk about what I like about Farrell so much. So, like, for example, something like this. Again, if you don't know much about Farrell, what he really is he's a run-stuffing defensive lineman. That's what you're drafting him for. That's what he can do. You see him have a one-on-one matchup, and really the way he wins, and he won constantly. Like, the reality was he got more production than Jordan Davis did. I'm sorry, that's what the numbers were at the very least. If you use advanced analytics, again, pardon me, I'm a little bit lower on Davis than others, although I still liked him. But I just think that, like, someone like Farrell, he won consistently, and this is how he would win consistently. Look at him use that left arm to just get, right away, get past the offensive player who he's going up against. So that's really what he does well. So he has a very good first step, very good hands, and he's just a big guy to move around. I mean, that's obviously going to be a factor. He's 6'4", 330, but he can use his hands really effectively, which is what makes him such a good interior defensive lineman. As you see, he even is the one who helps make that play. So he finished off the play. He didn't just disrupt it, but he finished it as well, and even does a little gritty there, which is very fun. But a very good play from him. And this is, again, what I think he can do and do consistently. He's constantly a force in the running game. Something like this, where, again, you see where he is on the field. I have circled him. It will kind of be the left guard who's really going to be the one making the most contact. So that's the player who's just slightly to the right of the screen of Farrell. Watch what happens. Look, right when this play begins, you see, again, that first step to just get a little bit of inside positioning to where you can't get the hand placement exactly where you want. And the reality is, Farrell is too big of a player to put yourself in this position. Like, you do not want to have some slight, hand movements be off. Listen, guys at the NFL are strong. They can block 330-pound men, but they can't do it if they don't have the proper hand position. And Farrell does a good job with his hands and with his feet to not allow you to get the proper hand position and just disrupt things up front. Like on this play now, what do you do if you're a halfback? Listen, LSU's doing a good job across the board, I would say, on this running play up the middle. So you can't go up the middle, but Farrell is definitely doing his job to ensure that it's not going to be a run up the middle. As you see, the halfback instead is going to, stretch things out to the outside. Farrell even gets over to help make the tackle there, but it was really the disruption on that play is what I think that, that's the real impact for something like that. And it kind of makes, he can be one of those guys where you just feel like you have to double team almost because he is so big that, he can completely disrupt a running play. Something like this, where he's going to go up one-on-one against a center. I do think that while LSU didn't use him as a pure nose tackle too often, I do think his skill set could fit there well if that's something that the Raiders want to use him as, which I imagine they will, at least to some degree. This does feel a little bit like this is Josh McDaniels' attempt to get a Vince Wilfork, and listen, I'm certainly not going to say that Neil Farrell is going to have the career Vince Wilfork had. Wilfork had a great career, but you definitely see some stylistic similarities, and they're going to play a very similar role, which is not necessarily someone who's going to get on the stat sheet a lot, but someone when you watch the film could have a huge impact. And on this play, watch what happens. Again, you see him just take that first step into where, once again, for a center, which, listen, it's already difficult to get the exact hand placement you want if you're a center going up against, in a one-on-one matchup, because obviously you have to snap the ball, so your hands are going to be just a little bit slower. But, when you add on the fact that Farrell moves quickly, it's just a tough combination. And as you see from this point on, he can just overpower and does get a pressure there in the passing game. So he can rush the passer as well. That's not what he thrives at necessarily, but, a pass rush win rate of 13.6% from the interior, that's a pretty good pass rush win rate. So he did do a pretty decent job of doing stuff like that. Obviously, the biggest thing about him is his run defense, but his, pass rush wasn't horrible either. And finally, something like this. This is probably the purest way you will see him have impacts at the NFL level, and this is something I do think that he will be able to do consistently, whereas he's lined up one-on-one against a center, and watch what happens. Look at him just completely overpowered a center. He is going to get over and make the tackle. This is, when you dream of a great nose tackle, this is what you dream of, are plays like this. Now listen, a lot of guys do this in college and don't do it at the NFL level. That's fair to say, but still, it's cool that you can at least do it at the college level. So that's largely how I feel about Neil Farrell, and I do think that, in this Raiders defense, which I'm assuming is going to play a lot more 3-4 with the addition of someone like Farrell, could be a great, it's just, you need someone like this. Like, you can't run that style of defense if you don't have someone like this. And again, that's what the Patriots, historically have done. I still haven't heard official confirmation on that. If someone could, link to me if that's been asked of Josh McDaniels, what defense they're actually going to run, that would be great. Just from personnel moves, that's what I'm assuming, but I've looked into it and I can't figure it out. So let me know for sure. But if that is the case, which seems to be, he'll be good. And plus, it's not like he has to be, lined up against, as a pure nose. He could be a 3-tech as well, I think. Like, this skill set does work well in several different areas. I think it's best as a nose tackle, but again, you're never going to run one defense in general. I mean, it's, the NFL in 2022, teams do not run a base defense unless you're Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. Every other team mixes things up, and especially, Bill Belichick or Bill Belichick mentor, guys below Bill Belichick, Belichick coaching tree guys, are the ones that mix it up the most on defense. But still, it's good to have guys who can do different things. And that's just what I like about Farrell, is he's just someone who, in a specific scenario, he's going to be really good. I think it's fair to say and fair to dock him. Is he ever going to be Fletcher Cox, who you just put out on every snap and can be awesome on every snap? Yeah, probably not. I don't know if he has the pass rushing capabilities of someone like that. But is he going to be a good run-stuffing defensive interior lineman? I think so. I have plenty of reason to believe it. And again, if you're a fan of these sort of advanced stats, which I keep saying, those do translate. You look at guys who do better at those statistics, they typically do better at those statistics at the NFL level as well. Guys with high pass rush win rates in college have high pass rush win rates in the NFL, or at least are more likely to. Again, we're talking by and large of a big sample size. Not every player who does good at those numbers is going to eventually be good, but you have a better chance of being good than if you did bad at those numbers. That's how that works. So because of that, I do think that, and other things, I think that Farrell is someone who could really fit in with this Raiders defense very well. And for a team that did not have a first or second round pick, they were too busy watching Devontae Adams highlights to, pay attention to the first or second round, right? I'm sure if you're a Raiders fan, that's what you were doing, because, that's awesome. But, they still needed to find some talent elsewhere, do the best they could. And I think they did a pretty good job of that, getting a couple of players who will, if not be starters, at least be contributors, which is difficult to do when you don't have a super high pick. So I think good stuff there by the Raiders. Like Neil Farrell a lot. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Neil Farrell Jr.? What do you think he can bring to the Raiders? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.